So maybe before I was talking on behalf of Petr Navades Plenerer from Prague, but now we are talking on behalf of a bigger group of people that got together by coincidence in Prague as well. And we have some invitation for all of you to join us in a, let's hope, exciting long-term event. Last year, in October, it was during the Czech presidency of the Council of the European Union. We had a conference in Prague. As you can see, Anna Bondar, that we saw online yesterday, she was there. The idea of the session of this conference on architecture policies and building culture was to look at post-war reconstructions in Europe and formulate a set of recommendations for reconstruction in Ukraine. We looked at the cases of the Balkan countries like Kosovo. We look at places like Georgia, where they also had to, accommodate a lot of migrants. And very often there were some bad examples of how the post-war reconstruction happened. We've heard it here, the temporary solutions became permanent. The system was not ready for the big investments. We've seen it here in other presentations. So based on this, we formulated 10 recommendations. You have the books to take if you want. But we don't want to go through all these recommendations. But the last one, recommendation number 10, talks about the idea of organizing IBA Ukraine. If you were here for the presentation from Vilnius, you have seen these examples of what's IBA in Germany. So the idea is to have a long-term international building exhibition similar to the German IBA model in Germany. So what is IBA?
Well, we have only a few minutes and all the booklets are gone already. Amazing. You're clicking. So to make it very short, and as Petr said, the idea of international building exhibitions has been mentioned in a number of lectures yesterday and today. It's a long history, born in Germany actually, to invite designers, planners from all over the world to think about how to design a little different in the future. It started more than 100 years ago, and I'll show you one example that was in Berlin. Just after World War II, there was an area that used to be a very beautiful housing area before the war, and it was mostly demolished, during war. So this area was used to celebrate an exhibition of contemporary architecture and urban design, how to build housing and livable cities in the future. So there was an international design competition, which was the base for the urban layout. And then very many important architects were invited to design actual buildings within this urban layout. So buildings by Alvar Aalto and Oskar Niemeyer, Gropius, and so really very good and experimental housing units in different scale were realized, and until today it's a very beautiful area in the middle of Berlin. Actually, my office is in that area, so I can promise you it's working very well. So this was one example how an international building exhibition can help a city to make a step forward and to create a plan and to also integrate international thinking. There is more examples. There was by coincidence a second example, and it was also mentioned earlier today in Berlin in the 1980s, when building policies and thinking had changed a little bit. The very important part about this exhibition was that it was dealing both with new and existing construction. Finally, a third one, just to show you the variety of building exhibitions in the very west of Germany for the transformation of the Ruhr area, which was our big mining and steel production area, was held in the 1990s or late 80s, and has been also the platform for the creation of a new life of that area, which was desolated, and people were not very optimistic in that area, because thousands and thousands of jobs got lost because of the change of economics. So all in all, the IBA is an instrument that is flexible, and obviously the idea was not so bad, so it was picked up in the last years also from cities in Switzerland, Basel, and in Vienna, and nowadays we even have an IBA in Melbourne coming up in Australia. So we started wondering, why not an IBA also for Ukraine? And the floor is yours.
So, thank you for staying still with us. It will be short, don't worry. So why IBA in Ukraine? Basically, we think it's a good answer to two kind of main issues. One is the kind of long-term problems that we maybe talked here about, related to low capacity of planning, helping with the decentralization reform. But the second is obviously more pressing, and that's the post-war reconstruction in all these topics. So we think that organizing an IBA, International Building Exhibition, in Ukraine could help with both the post-war, or not even post-war, but the reconstruction, as well as with the reform in planning, building culture, and improving the livability of cities. This drawing is from Kees Christianse, who was also in Prague at the conference with us, and with Anna Bondar, and with our experts from countries that have a post-war experience. So it's just an idea of the fact that it should happen across entire country. It should have many participating organizations, including the European Commission, including UN agencies, but also developers, private developers, merging the public and the private funding, and basically including a lot of other projects. And kind of building on the Building Back Better principles. I think, and
yeah, obviously you can see that we've done a lot of thinking and writing. We don't need to go into every detail. There's also a document just about that, and it's safe here, so you can run up on stage in a second. Go on.
Maybe just to say that the idea is that projects that have the the affiliation with IBA should be models or showcases of best practice in whatever field we talk about. So the idea is that, let's say, if Vinica has a nice school that is sustainable design, it's playful, it's good material, that this becomes a showcase for the rest of Ukraine, and vice versa. So basically having projects of the exhibition doesn't have to be even designed by famous architects, can be designed by local skilled architects, it doesn't matter. But if it's a high quality, it becomes part of this IBA platform, and the light is shed so that people see, okay, they did something nice, maybe we can replicate it or learn lessons from it in other parts of Ukraine. So how do you do IBA?
If you give me the slide, it's easy. Well, first of all, IBA, as Peter mentioned, it's about a lot of projects, all kinds of projects, so it is very inclusive in many ways, and we have to communicate that. So the IBA should be, first of all, a platform. So the IBA would not be an investor or something, developing projects, but it's an umbrella, it's a body that is embracing and promoting quality. And it will promote all kinds of aspects, local reconstruction, housing, repair, of course different functions of buildings, and not only buildings but also open space development, etc. Quality of our environment in general. Click. And this platform will of course have different formats how to communicate about all of that, because it's not enough just to make nice buildings, but to talk about them. And like today here, this kind of format can be an IBA format in the future. There can be traveling exhibitions, there can be of course online versions of it, etc. That these exemplarily projects, they can be multiplied elsewhere. And this idea that we had there in Prague and in Zurich and again in Prague and online and online and online, we have shared with a number of colleagues globally, and we were asking them, hey, is that a good idea? And within a few days we got the response from almost 200 of some of the most recognized architects in the world. There are 6 Pritzker Award winners among them. There is the city architects of Hamburg, of Berlin, of Munich, and I mean really, obviously it's not a bad idea. That was at least what we felt, and that's why we were encouraged to come here and to present that idea. And since yesterday night, the website is online, so don't worry, this booklet that is gone, you can just download the file, and the same you can download this document, which describes in detail some of the thinking that is behind all these files. And then...
Yeah, there will be also more useful resources on this website. Our colleagues from ETH Zurich are preparing a manual for master planning for Ukrainian cities, so that will be also there to download on the website. For the moment, the website is very simple. I see we're going into the party mood.
Well, so. I mean, the question is, of course, I mean, we are just a very small group and we have no power at all. We just have a few ideas, and I mean, we are architects. So what it needs is to set up a real framework who is organizing this whole thing, if it should happen. We need to organize multinational supervision. That's also a part of the character of IBAs, that it's not only a local initiative, it's always integrating thinking of people from elsewhere. We need to identify funding, and there should be pioneer projects. It should not be something that starts, let's say, in 5 years. It should start tomorrow. There are already fantastic projects ongoing now, and why not having them tomorrow with a let's say, this label of an IBA project. So our thinking is that we're making a march to Brussels tomorrow, and we will look for funds, and we will of course be, or we are already in contact with the government of Ukraine. We're looking for partners who are the municipalities. We believe they are probably the strongest partners for the execution of these projects. But at the end we need all of you, and this is our 10-minute break now. We thought that it would be the best picture to motivate us, but also to say thank you to all the organizers here, that all of you guys come on stage now and we make a nice picture to say farewell at the end of this meeting.
But only if you think it's a good idea, yeah? Don't feel forced.